Hello there everybody, she's Reggie Time here, and today this is the second edition of the Pulling Together Poker promotion, and in a moment I'm going to be joined by three of the people that joined that promotion, those being a Norwegian player by the name of Raw, and two US players, Michael and Scott. So I'm going to go ahead and just pause the video for a momentarily while I call the guys up, and then we're just going to basically just play a session of poker and just shoot the shit with each other, have a chat, see what's going on, and just give you guys a feel for what it is we're doing. So we'll play these queens through, of course. Straight off the bat. I'm just going to call with the queens. I think cold 4 betting versus middle position and cut off might be ambitious. And we're going to hope Jens doesn't have 3 aces. We would just be check. We will be check shoving here. I think there's no other play. Given the size, given Jens stack size. Jens' stack size, so I think the only play is just to ship it in, and we are in good shape. Not anymore. Nope. Never mind. Never mind. That's just life, I guess. So we're going to play the kings, and we played the kings. Now, I'm just going to pause the video and call the group. We'll be back in one moment. So anyway, we're back on the video now. We are all going live, so please do get involved, guys.
Okay.
Fault to this check raise. Doesn't look too convinced. I'm not that convinced by it, but at the same time I have nothing, so I'm going to bet fold this turn too, I think. And I think he's pretty likely to have something when he calls that flop, and then the jack can definitely have enough to keep him interested, but I think if he check raises, our one pair hand's usually going to be in pretty dull shape. An awful lot of clicking going in the background there. Somebody's still playing while they're watching. I can hear tons of clicking. Come on, confess, who is it?
It's me who's clicking, but I'm not playing.
Oh, you're not playing? Okay, no problem. No problem. You do what you want. It makes no difference to me. I just felt I heard a lot of clicking. I thought, what is that?
I'll make it stop.
I'm not going to 3-bet the 8s because when we have someone who's that stacked in the blind, in the big blind, more likely to be a weaker player that I just don't think is going to be seeing an opportunity to squeeze and take it. If that was a regular, I probably would have either 3-bet or fold. Well, because he's not a regular. And I don't know why my HUD stats don't seem to be keeping up. I think it's maybe because I'm asking my computer to do a lot of things. We've got Full Tilt, we've got Hold'em Manager, we've got Skype, and Camtasia running. So maybe my computer's just not up to the task of keeping up with. Everything looks like one hand behind, if you will. So we might just abandon the HUD actually. Because if it's not keeping up, there's not that much point in having it. So
The image is kind of slow on Skype as well, for my part.
okay. Let's get rid of that for the moment. If we can just... It is, my computer's running pretty well, but at the same time it has got an awful lot of applications running. And it's probably better to just start soaking with me. the manager's decided it wants to just die. There, it's gone. Good stuff. I think it's gone anyway. I was going to check call that flop against Tyrone. I think it's having second pair decent keepers. Not the worst spot to check call him, but he didn't bite, so now I'm just going to bet to protect. I don't want to just give any random diamond a free shot at stucking out on me. And we river a straight, so I think we're just going to bet for value. I hope he's got two pair or something. And we did get called. Don't know what by, but we got called by something, so we'll take it. So what have you guys been up to today? How's your sessions been going? Have you been winning, losing? What's been happening?
Been losing a lot, and then stopped losing, and then won a little bit.
Okay. So how did the overall day go? Not that we're result orientated, but just for the sake of conversation, did it feel like a good day in terms of how you played, irrespective of results? Or
it started off terrible, but I took a break midday and changed my thinking a bit, and when I got back it just felt really great, even though the results didn't really turn out amazing, but it was good. I think the downswing has stopped, so it's good.
We never know when downswings stop and start, because there's just things that we see and after they've happened. But like we were talking about yesterday with you, I think it's important just to. I'm just going to shut this river. It's important for you to measure success not by how much money you win or lose, but by how well you think you played.
Yeah,
that's the important thing.
I think I played a lot better in the second part of the day than I did in the morning. So
what was happening in the morning to make you not play well?
I lost 2 or 3 hands to short stackers with a hand with 60 to 80% equity in a row. So
then you just tilted a little bit.
Yeah, pretty much.
So what is it that's making you tilt there? Is it the financial implications of losing those pots? Is it the injustice of it? Is it like you think, oh, why me? Why is it always me? Why do these things happen to me? What is it that actually makes you tilt? Obviously, losing the hands is disappointing, but what is it? Is it the financial stuff? Is it the injustice of it? Is it why do we always run so bad? Is it just that you hate losing? There has to be like a trigger for the tilt. So what is it? What is it that makes you subconsciously go off your A game just on the back of some bad results?
I guess it's the financial and the fact that I've never been able to book a winning month ever, and I've been counting the past 5 days, and it's been 17 lost hands where I'm ahead on a pre-flop, and it's all in pre-flop.
The thing is, that's not a useful thing for you to keep track of. There's nothing can be gained by doing that. I mean, I guess you can feel a little bit reassured that you're getting your money in good, but that tends to just reinforce negative feelings more than positive ones, in my experience.
Yeah, I think that's one of the.
Yeah, go on, sorry.
I think that's one of the things that makes me play less than A game when I have this negative mindset. So I've been trying to let it go and just think that I did the best play and I had the best hand. I got my money in good, and just forget about the results.
But you need to, because being result orientated, particularly when it's just about running bad and not playing bad, you need to be orientated by the quality of your play, not by the quality of your results. I think we talked about that yesterday. Yeah. I'm just going to check fold this river, by the way, with the 9s. I think check calling twice is fine, but when he bombs that river, it's kind of hard for him to have a super strong value hand. But if he's good, he could just be bombing here with like a set or an overpair or something, because it's unlikely I have a straight in this spot. It's unlikely he has one too, but that said, I think regular Z's are good enough to identify the fact I don't have a straight there very often, so they can then value bet somewhat lighter. I think I was happy with my line. Well, happy with my line all the way through. Because I think 9s is one of the best hands we can kind of take that line with. It's one of our best bluff catchers, so unless we just always have a check fold range, we need to have something in the check call range. And I guess 1 pip under top pair is probably one of the best places to have that. And I'm just going to raise this river if he leads out. So what about Michael and Scott? I talked to you earlier, Scott, before our ill-fated coaching session. So I know you've had a good day. What about you, Michael?
Today I didn't play. Yesterday I was up for about 4.5 buy-ins and about 300 hands. So it was a good day yesterday.
And you play on which site is it you play on?
I was playing on Bet Online yesterday.
Bet Online. Is that part of... Because I get confused all these American skins. Is Bet Online standalone, or is that part of a network that's got other sites on that I may have heard of? Or is Bet Online very much its standalone
Bet Online's alone
network,
as far as I know.
Okie dokie. So America's Card Room is something completely independent to everything else too. I know that's where you play, Scott, isn't it? Scott plays in America's Card Room.
Yeah.
I want you if they're all like different skins of the same thing.
Yeah, America's Card Room is a skin of like Winning Poker Network, and there's a couple under that.
I think I'm just going to call it off on this turn. I'm quite concerned that he has pocket queens or pocket jacks here, or even pocket aces. There's not very much I beat. Well, I don't want to be giving too many free cards either. I mean, if he shoves, I'm just going to call it off, and I'm going to be quite sad because I'm probably going to be losing to a set. But I think sometimes he called 4 bets, like queens and jacks too, and now we're just going to shove. And if he calls, we're going to really, really hope he has ace queen. No, he has something that we beat, which is nice. I guess it must have been ace queen. Yeah, it was. It kind of, that river was really quite thin. But at the same time, I think we have to make that bet. I don't know what you guys think, if you would have played that any differently. I mean, the Queen Jack flop, when we 3 bet and somebody cold calls in the big blind, and we've got 2 kings, the Queen Jack flop is probably one of the last flops you want to see, really. But would you guys have done anything different there? And if you would, what was your thoughts of it? If you want to go back and look at it, we can pause the session and we can go back and review it if you think that's going to be useful.
Well, to be honest with you, I would have probably checked there.
Right, okay. Well, what we'll do, we'll sit out next time at both tables and we'll talk about why you would have checked and why I went for the bet. And I accept that it was thin on the river. But, right, so let's pull the hand back up. Can we see that? So... But obviously, I think pre-flop's incredibly standard, so we're not going to dwell too long on that. So, right, first question, I guess, is what do you think Ferg B's range is? And can I make this bigger? I don't know. Yes, I can. What are we thinking this fellow's range is when he just cold calls in the big blind?
I would think ace king, ace queen, aces he would have raised it. Pocket queens he might just call. I would think pocket jacks he might just call.
So yeah, I think it has. Well, unless he's bad and he's tagged red, so we're going to presume he's a regular. Now he could still be a bad regular, but we're going to presume regular. So we're not going to presume that he's a sort of like weaker player that has all pocket pairs in his range. I think you're right. I think we have to assume he's got a reasonably narrow range. I would say 10s through queens. Probably play this way most of the time, although sometimes I think queens does call 4 bet. I don't think jacks does very often, but I think queens does. Yeah, I agree. Ace king might call 4 bet, might just call, but we've got a lot of kings, so obviously it's quite hard to draw too many ace kings. Ace queen definitely. I think ace queen's massively in his range. Ace queen suited, maybe hands like ace jack suited, but basically it's a quite narrow, well-defined range. So when we see bet this board, I think normally you would see people maybe going for slightly smaller size here. If anything, I think my bet is on the small side. But when we say bet this board into 2 players, it has to be a sign of strength. I'm never going to be doing this with ace king in this spot or some random bluff. Because when you get called twice, you don't expect to have too much fold equity on flops. So would you guys have c-bet? And if so, what size would you have chosen?
Yeah, I would have bet c-bet about 3/4 pot.
Because there's 7 in the pot, so what would that be? That'd be about 470 something, would it? 480, something like that. I think off the top of my head, I don't know exactly, but it seems about right.
Yeah.
Half pot would have been
342.
Yeah, plus another 170. Yeah, so about 510, something like that would be, wouldn't it? So you would have bet around $5, so it's not too bad. What about you? Any of you guys have got any comments on, not on my sizing in particular, just on what sizings you would have used at this point?
I guess 4.5 or something.
What about you, Scott?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I typically like to do like half pot or 2/3, depending on board texture and stuff like that. But yeah,
so you're not too worried about, because if this is a spot where we're almost never bluffing, does bet size matter as much? Because the point of going half pot is to try and disguise the strength of your hand. You know, people want to, if you're using if you're trying to be balanced, then you want to try and use sizes for the same sizes for your bluffs as you do for your value bets. But if we're kind of really heavily weighted towards value bets here, it's not a spot we typically bluff in, does it matter as much that we're not using a balanced size? Because I actually look at my bet size now and think I should have gone a little bit bigger. Because if it's a spot where we're not bluffing, there's not really an awful lot of sense in trying to use a kind of size you'd want to use when you could be bluffing sometimes. If that makes sense. So I actually think my sizing is a little too small. I'm more like Michael. I think 3/4 spot would have been equally good here as mine. I'd much prefer, looking back now, 684 in the pot. I'd like to see my bet up over $5, just for pure value, because I'm not folding at this point. If I get shoved on, I'm going to be really quite sad, but I'm going to call anyway because it's such a wet board. People can just have like ace, queen, king, queen, things like that, and maybe just get excited and shove. So I'm not convinced that my bet was big enough, and I think it's a mistake that many people make when their range is pretty polarized towards like value hands and not many bluffs. I think people try to disguise that by making smaller bet sizes. I think all they do is just cost themselves value a lot of the time. I think it's a very common leak that I certainly have too, because looking at that now, I should absolutely have bet bigger. But I think it's a very common problem lots of people have. If we are in a spot where we do want to be bluffing quite a bit, then absolutely we should be looking for a more like balanced size, if you will. We're in a spot where we have so few bluffs. I don't think we need to bet as small. I think I definitely made a mistake. Definitely made a mistake with my sizing here. So we go on to the turn. So now there's 15 in the pot and there's like 22 effective behind. So what would you do here? I mean, I bet 970. I want to take that back because I don't really want us to be bollocks what we've done now. Yeah, I want to do it this way, don't I? So I want to try and pause it where we can just see that. There we go. What would you have bet into $15? Ignoring what I've got, we've got effective $22 stacks. What do you think? Because again, I'm not a big fan of my sizing here. I think I butchered the sizing again. What do you guys think would be a good size here?
I generally go like half. I generally go 3/4 on the flat, then half on the turn.
That would be your size, half, yeah? Because I'm thinking here, my thought, I'm not going to try and talk over you guys, is we're not, just need to bear in mind, we're not going to have any trouble getting the money in. Whatever bet size we choose here, whether we decide to go really large or really small, we're going to be setting up like a shove for the river, which is obviously going to have us more than pot. So you would go half pot here, Michael. Yeah, why would you go half pot? What do you think betting, say, $7.50 here achieves that, say, betting $10 doesn't achieve?
Well, I'm don't know what you would call it. I'm a little leery since he called the flop on, say, my 3/4 bet pot that he possibly could have two pairs.
So if you bet 750 on the turn then and he shoved on you, would you be folding for $15 more?
Depending on player stats, I could fold.
Assume it's a regular, because that's all we can do. We've had to turn the hood off, so
regular, more than likely I'm going to fold.
You're more than likely going to fold. So you're looking to bet fold the turn, bet small to get the calls from the cans that are going to call, and then fold to a shove. What about you, Michael?
That was me.
What would your size be? Sorry, Michael. Sorry, Scott. I mean, sorry, boys. What about you, Scott? What size would you choose here?
Probably half pot as well. Yeah, I'm not too advanced in like knowing how much to bet. I mean, I either do like half pot or 2/3 pot a majority of the time. So yeah, I'm not too.
So when you're betting, and that's fine, it's absolutely fine because I did target lots of beginner players. So this isn't meant to be anything that's make you feel bad or anything like that. It's just to help me get to know you guys better because I've not spoken with you too much yet. So when you're betting more based on your own hand strength rather than you are based on what you feel your opponent may have.
A little bit as well. I mean, I think half pot if he were to call that still, then yeah, as opposed to re-raise you or shove or something like that. I mean, I think you kind of get a lot of information based on. I mean, a lot of times I've seen at least that if someone calls the turn, then they're either on a draw or something like that. So, yeah.
So you would have bet, so therefore you bet 752, and then he raises you for another $17. I think it's going to be, isn't it, for $15? Yeah, $15. What would you do then?
That's a good question. I think I mean I've done either. I mean, kind of lately. I mean, which I definitely need to work on is. I mean, a lot of times I just probably will call that, and I think that's a leak of mine because yeah. I mean, I really don't know too much on these a lot of these players. I mean, a lot of players I've kind of seen they bluff a lot, or they like really want to like, or they're shoving for their draw. So,
but if you think the shoving draws, how many people do you think are waiting for the turn to shove a draw rather than the flop? You just say, for example, you're right, and just say he has ace king of diamonds here, or ace queen of diamonds, or king queen of diamonds, something like that. Would he necessarily wait till the turn to shove, or do you think he's going to just shove the flop, or do you think maybe he's going to wait for the turn to like bet if we check? What do you think his strategy is going to be with his like really strong draws on the flop? Because he probably can't have weak draws. It's very unlikely he's going to have like an 8-7 of diamonds here. Mm-hmm. If he's got a draw, it's going to be two high broadways, and the jack of diamonds is already out, so he's going to have like king 10 diamonds or ace king diamonds, king queen diamonds, that type of thing. So do you think he'd wait till the turn to shove that draw, which to be fair would probably carry a lot more fold equity, or do you think he might just think fuck it on the flop? I've flopped as well as I can expect, I'm just going to get all the money in now.
Yeah, I mean, he could potentially think that on the flop, but then maybe like hope for like a Broadway on the turn, and if that doesn't work, then he might think hey, it's best just to shove now and hope I get this person off a like Queen X or whatever. But I mean,
yeah, I think when people do shove the turn in these spots, a lot of the time it's not because they're trying to make somebody fold or anything like that. It's because they don't want to face a tough river decision, because they know if they just call here with like ace queen of diamonds or king queen of diamonds or something like that, they know they probably can't call the river if we triple barrel, because they probably know if we triple barrel the river, we're going to have ace or kings most of the time. So I think people just shove the turn, if the ones that do, just because they can't be bothered facing a river where they know they're going to have to fold, but they probably don't have the stones to make the fold.
Yeah.
And I think more people shove the turn here just because they just give up on the hand. It's like, well, fuck it, I'm all in, I don't care anymore. Rather than like calling twice because, they got a decent amount of equity, but they know they have to fold the river. They just give up on the hand on the turn and think, well, how terrible can it be? If I've got king, queen, and diamonds here, I've probably got 12 outs or whatever. That type of thing. So that's what I think people shove on the turn for. I don't think people shove on the turn necessarily because they think they've got a lot of fold equity, because when most players 3-bet and then double barrel this board, they're not bluffing. And if you think they are bluffing and you think you've got fold equity, congratulations, you're one of the most optimistic men on the planet, but you're probably not going to do too good at poker. Because when people double barrel on these boards in 3-bet pots, they're going to be almost exclusively towards value. Certainly at these stakes, maybe not at the high stakes, but certainly at like the lower micro stakes up to 50 now. I'd be very surprised if someone takes this line in my position with a bluff. So what about you, Rob? What would you have done on the turn? Would you have gone half pot? Would you have gone bigger? Would you have shoved? Would you have gone for a check shove? What would your default line be here against somebody who's like an unknown reg?
The same as was it Michael or?
I think both guys said half pot. I think I'm the only guy that went bigger than half pot.
Yeah, but he who said he would fold if the guy shoved after.
Okay, so you're a bet fold. Okay, so I'm guessing there you're just going to put somebody squarely on sets and that. You're going to put them on jacks or queens and just fold your hand.
Yeah, if they shoved, I would think either jacks or queens. I wouldn't place them on 5s or 3s, and I wouldn't think they would call a 3-bet with the queen jack. So
no, it's unlikely. I mean, they may do, but it seems unlikely. So let's remind ourselves what I chose. We should just do that a little bit bloody slower. Oh, why is that going so fast? Anyways, I chose $9.30, which I did that because I kind of felt like I was committing myself anyway by betting. I was never in a mind to bet fold here. So I think with that in mind, I think again, I'm not that in love with my sizing because again, when I barrel that turn, I've always got a value hand. So I think in hindsight now, given that we've kind of only got one decent bet size left in us, I think I would have preferred to bet incredibly small and maybe induce him to spew, which seems unlikely, or preferably now looking at that, I kind of wish I'd just jammed. Because if I wasn't bet folding, which I wasn't planning on doing, I was going to bet, then sigh and call it off, probably drawing almost dead. And now wish I'd just shoved. For value from hands like diamond draws, from hands like king, queen, and ace, queen that might fold the river if they don't improve. From all those kinds of things. So actually now I think I personally would have preferred a shove. It's something we were talking about in the study group earlier about going for the overshove. I think this is not the worst time in the world to do it because it looks maybe somewhat bluffy. I mean, if we had ace, king of diamonds in this spot, I probably would just shove the turn too. So I think I could definitely do it with some bluffs. Not many, of course, because I can't have many bluffs. But I could definitely do some high equity bluffs. So like ace, queen of diamonds, I might shove. Ace, king of diamonds. If I somehow had some random like weird flush draw, like ace, 6 of diamonds that I just 3-bet with, I'd probably do it with that too. So actually, I think I would have preferred shoving now, but I didn't. So we get to the river. How we've got there. So does the jack change much for you guys? In what? And if it does change, what does it change? And we'll start with you this time, bro.
I would expect him to large.
What does a jack do to his range?
Yeah, a lot of his range hits a full house. In my or quads, but.
See, I was really happy with the jack personally, but I'll explain why at the end. So you think that the jack's a bad card for us, not a good card?
I guess if we put him before on ace queen or queens or jacks, a large portion of his range would have either a full house or quads. and the rest would have
But,
2 pair. But
but do you not think that the fact that jacks come on the river makes it pretty unlikely that he's got 2 jacks? That's how I saw it. I saw it as the jack's a good card because I can now probably remove 2 of the sets from his range. So now I'm literally only scared of pocket queens or a slow played pocket aces, which I don't think we can rule out. We haven't discussed that enough yet. I think he can definitely have 2 aces here. So what about you? We'll go to Michael last. What about you, Scott? What do you think the jack? Does the jack make you happier or a little bit more wary?
Definitely happier. I mean, yeah, I definitely agree that. Yeah, I mean, just getting quads there. I mean, yeah, that's killer. But yeah, I would definitely take him off Jack, and it's not a diamond, so I think you could kind of, yeah, get rid of that flush draw as well. So yeah, I'm definitely liking that another Jack there.
Yeah, I think the jack's good for us. So I'm going to ask you, Michael, what would you have done on this river if, say, the 9 of diamonds rolled off?
I would have cried.
You would have cried, yeah. I would have joined you at that point. But what would you have done? What would your line have been? As played, get into this situation, I accept you wouldn't have played it the same as me. But as played, and we get to the river where there's like around 1/3 pot left, that's it. What would you have done on a diamond? On any diamond. It doesn't have to be the 9 of diamonds. I mean, the 9 of diamonds is like next to the ace of diamonds, that's the second worst card. But what would you have done on any diamond?
I would have more likely paused and checked. I would have probably paused to check with the jack also.
So you would have checked on it. You wouldn't have just gone for the value bet here.
I would have checked if he bet real small. I would have called. If he shoved, I would.
But the thing is, it's just going to shove, isn't it? Because there's just so little left in the pot. If he bets, any bet he makes is going to be a shove, and we're going to be getting close to 4-1 on a call, which means we need about 20% equity, something like that.
Yeah, that's true also.
I think the problem with folding to a shove, I wouldn't have the stones to do it, I'll be honest with you. But when you think of the hands he's going to be checking back here on the diamond, he may well check back aces on the diamond. He may well check back. He probably definitely would check back ace queen on the diamond. So to me, checking wasn't an option because I knew that if I was checking, I was always missing value from the queen, then I was probably always going to pay him off. So my opinion there was kind of, if I know I'm going to check call, and then usually lose to these betting range, then I may as well just go all in, because at least then, for the same amount of money I'm spending on a check call, I get some calls from the range that we beat to. So for example, if he had king queen here, which is hard for him to have because we block it, but he can definitely have king queen of diamonds exactly.
Yeah.
He's probably going to check that back, is my guess. But never fold it, or probably never fold it. If he has ace queen, he's probably going to check it back, but never fold it, which is why I went for the jam. Now, if I was convinced I was beat by this point, then I would just check fold. But I think checking here, hoping he checks back, isn't the best play, because I don't think we can fold. Maybe we can fold on a diamond. I accept that. Maybe we can fold on a diamond, and we've now just been sat out, but never mind. But I think all in all, I think we just have to shove the river, because check folding would be puke when there's like 45 in the pot, only 12 to call, and we've got an overpair. And I think we may as well just bet. If we're going to put the 12 in, we must have put it in ourselves to make sure that he calls when the times we are ahead. Otherwise, we're always paying him off when we're beat, and we're always missing value when we win.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, just to bet the river there. But yeah, that was quite an interesting hand, and yeah, it was nice to discuss it. So we're going to join another table again. Sorry, is anyone? Oh, hello, James.
How you doing?
Nice of you to join us, sir. Oh, what's happening here? Everything's going horribly wrong. We need to join another table quickly, don't I? There we go. Now I can tile everything. You just missed a very interesting hand, James. But
Yeah, I caught a bit of it. I didn't want to butt in.
you didn't want to interrupt in the meantime. No problem. You could have done. You should have just chipped in. I didn't even know you joined the
No,
conversation.
just 2 minutes ago.
Excellent stuff. Well, we're going to be going for at least another half an hour.
Okay,
So
great.
Hopefully there'll be another decent hand that comes up. How's your day been, my
Yeah,
friend?
fine.
Good stuff.
Is that nearly 3 buy-ins you're up there on the left?
Yeah, we lost a buy in the very first hand
Right.
of the video.
Yeah.
I got Queens in versus Ace King on Queen Jack 10. So not Queen Jack, so anyways, I had the nuts and all the virtual nuts. Oh, Queen Jack Ace it was. The guy had Ace King and spiked a good shot, which was whatever. So no, we're not up that much, but yeah, it's gone well. We've played very few hands because we just spent about 20 minutes discussing that King's hand, which was all good.
Are you playing your stack sizes differently, like the left table differently from the right table?
Not necessarily, not pre-flop or not. It would depend. Once I get post-flop, I mean, it depends on how deep we are effectively. Against other deep stacks, of course, yeah. And when I'm in, say I have aces and I'm going to 3-bet somebody who I'm 200 blinds deep with, I'm going to make a bigger than usual 3-bet. Because we have to allow for the fact we are playing deeper. But if I'm just playing against somebody who's 100 blinds deep, it makes absolutely no difference.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so for example, against Nag, or whatever he's called here, yeah, I would definitely play differently against him. I would definitely be making larger 3-bets, larger 4-bets if I had a hand that I could 4-bet. I would do everything a little bit larger just to account for stack depth, particularly if I was out of position. Because I want to make it more expensive for him to have the luxury position on me in a 3-bet pot when we're very deep. Well, that's about the only time I would do it. I don't like this here, but I think we have to call just because it's just 5 blinds more. I hate calling 3-bets out of position. I don't mind too much with pocket pairs, but when he just makes it 5 blinds more, I think it'd be a mistake to fold. And I think I'm just going to bet twice now, just to get him off like Ace Queen, Ace King, that kind of thing. And we're just going to fold to this 4-bet. Don't know anything about Drax. That's what I could do with my HUD really. And I'm just going to absolutely blast this river because I think it's super unlikely he has a 7. Oh, there's Grant. Grant, for the record, people watching the video, he's one of my students that isn't part of this promotion. I'm not going to 3-bet him because he's quite a tight player. I'm going to blast here because I can definitely have more 7s than he can have for sure. It's going to be hard for him to call. I don't think he has an overpair very often. But wow, he 3-bet me the 7-8. I didn't expect that. That's one thing I didn't expect. Turned as good as the nuts against Grant. I don't like playing against people that I'm working with, but it is testament to my excellent coaching that Grant's managed to come from 5-0 to 25 with that. I will blow my own trumpet a little bit there. It's also a testament to Grant's determination and work rate, to be fair, because he really has worked really hard. So congratulations to both of us there, I think.
Yeah, that's great, isn't it? What's that? 5 months?
And now let's stack it.
Send them back down.
I don't want to send him back down, but I'd be more than happy to stack him, nevertheless. Wow, has he really got King Queen here? Has he really got King Queen?
I think he's bluffing you so he can boast about it. But
Well, it's whether I can raise. I don't think he can call. I'm just going to call because I don't think Grant can call with. He did have the nuts. I don't think Grant can call with the worst hand there if I shove. So yeah, never mind. At least he went to somebody I like, so I can handle it a bit better. I think we're going to squeeze here. But we are deep, so just exactly what you were talking about earlier. We are deep with Meet the John, so I'm going to make my squeeze a little bit bigger than usual because I don't really want to give him the luxury position on me for like quite a cheap. I don't want to just make that a standard 250 there and just give him a really easy call with loads of money behind to play for. Wow. I think I just need to reshove here just to try and... I mean, I'm a bit worried about Meet the John, but I think we just have to shove in. If Meet the John's got aces or something, well, that's off to him. We're going to want to isolate this Trimmel now. I think we're going to be flipping with a lot of the time.
yes.
So when he does that, when he like calls them back races, especially when it's someone who I don't think's a regular. If that's a regular, I think he can maybe have a really strong hand. But I think when it's somebody who doesn't have a full stack, he's not likely to be a regular. I think it's way more likely he's just got a pocket pair that he's saying fuck it with, you know. I'm just going to go all in now because this spot's too difficult for me. I don't want to think about it, so I just want to go all in. But if you just want to go back and look at that again, so we can talk about it in more depth, because I think it's quite an interesting spot because of how. In fact, we will, because given how deep we were with the regular, that back race puts us in. I didn't think it was that much of a tough spot, but for people who are not as confident as me, and people who aren't as like haven't played as much as me or whatever, just without being a big-headed bugger, you know, you guys are less experienced than me. That might have been a tougher spot for you guys than it felt for me. So I'm not sure what you guys think about.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave now, but I think
You're gonna leave now?
There's one more guy who have joined recently. Don't know if he said anything
No.
yet.
All right, okay, no idea. That you, James, is it?
No.
It could well be.
Kieran, yeah.
Kieran's joined. Hello, Kieran. Are you there, sir?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. We can hear you just fine, buddy. Good to have you with us. Right, so let's go. We'll see you later, Raw. You take care, buddy. Chat with you tomorrow. Right, so let's look at this spot. First of all, I guess the first question is, before it gets to me, if you were going to squeeze here, would you actually, and I'm glad Scott brought it up earlier, would you make an adjustment to your sizing because of the depth we're at, or would you still just use your default sizing? And I think we'll start with James, because James hasn't said much yet.
I would have stuck with a sort of 4x, you know, before you pointed that out, that you've got to make it bigger because you're deeper and you're out of position. So
yeah, I think it's a mistake I see lots of players making. When they're 200 blinds deep, they still make everything as if they're 100 blinds deep, and I think that gives the person in position a huge advantage, because there's so much money behind. When the things that make poker difficult are out of position with lots of money behind, and you want to. I mean, you can't reduce it hugely with just putting extra 4 blinds on, but you can. If we can make him fold out some hands that we'd like him to fold out here, like even though we're ahead of say Queen Jack suited, given the fact he's going to have position and he's going to have lots of money behind him at pretty tough spots with, I'm quite happy for him just to fold his Queen Jack suited and just get heads up with J trimmed up. I don't really want Meet the John in the fucking pot. If he wants to play this pot with me, I want to make it real expensive for him to do so. Because the luxury of having position in this spot is enormous. It's an enormous luxury. So has anyone else got any thoughts on what size they would have made it?
Yeah, like 10x.
You'd have made it 10x. You'd have gone to like $6. $6.
Wait, no, like 10 big blinds.
Oh, 10 blinds. Sorry. I was going to say that $6. I like it a little bit, you know, in a lot of ways. The 6 side, I mean, really fucking likes it. But I think that would have been. So you'd have just gone to like $2.50 as well. So you wouldn't have thought, oh, we're deep here. I need to make sure that Meet the John pays the price for the luxury position either. No, I know Scott wouldn't have either, because Scott mentioned it earlier. Scott was saying that you adjust when you're deep, and I'm glad this hand's come up, because I absolutely do adjust when we're deep, and I think we need to too, because like I said, like we talked about earlier, I don't want to milk it too much, but playing out of position sucks at the best of times. Playing out of position in 3-bet pots sucks even more, and playing out of position in 3-bet pots where you're 200 blinds deep is really, it's not a nice situation to put yourself in. So what about you, Michael? Because I know you feel to me like you're somebody who likes to go on the larger side with his betting. So what would your 3-bet size have been here? And I guess Michael's gone. Is he? Oh no, Michael's there. That's okay. Good stuff.
I would have probably made it about $4.
Yep. I like that. I can't remember exactly what I made it, but I think I made it $3.50, didn't I? I like it. I do like that. And would you have made it $4 because of the stack depth, or would you made it $4 just because you don't really want to play out of position, so you want to like blow up the pot as big as you can?
I really don't. Don't want to play out of position.
Yeah.
I really don't even. Be honest with you, I don't even pay attention to how many what my stack size is.
No, well, that's something you definitely need to do.
I lose, then I cry.
Yeah, that's something you need to do. These are all the little things that lots and lots of players just don't understand until they speak to people, because stack depth is really important. It's massively important, and if you're just playing your ranges the same way all the time, irrespective of stack depth, it just shows that you're not quite paying enough attention, and that's fine. It's fully expected of people who are either new to poker or haven't really taken poker seriously before. It's not right just to play all your ranges the same way against the same people, irrespective of stack sizes. We need what gives us our edge in poker is doing things better than our opponents. So if our opponents always just 3-bet to $2 here, we're 3-betting to $3.50. In my opinion, we're getting a reciprocal advantage on them because we're doing something better than they are. And on top of that, the bigger we can make a pot pre-flop, the less position matters post-flop, because the lower the stack to pot ratio, the less important position is. Obviously, the higher the stack to pot ratio, the more important position is, because then you can use the high stack to pot ratio to apply a lot of pressure post-flop. So these are all things you want to be thinking about when you're making 3-bets, when you're making squeezes. You need to be looking at, if he calls here, what's the SPR? And if I make it an extra 2 or 3 blinds, or make it 2 or 3 blinds less. And you need to be trying to look ahead and plan ahead, and just try and manipulate the pot size to it to be what you want it to be. What's appropriate for your hand, what's appropriate for your range against your opponent's stack size and your opponent's range. And you need to be thinking of all those things. If you're just clicking buttons and not putting that thought into it, 2 things are going to be happening. Number one, you're not going to enjoy poker as much, because part of the fun of poker is to outthink your opponents. And number 2, you're going to miss value, or you're going to give people too many prices to call. You're not going to, you're not going to protect your hand well enough. There's lots of things that getting good bet sizing gives us, that just randomly clicking buttons or having default sizes that we always use irrespective of stack depth. It's just going to cause us problems we don't need it to cause us. So, right, we're going to move on, and we're going to get Scott go first on the next bit. We do squeeze, we get called, and then Trimble goes all in. What would you do now, Scott? It's hard because you've seen the result of the hand.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was pretty interesting that Jay Trimble just called and didn't, 3-bet when Meet the John opened. So I think, yeah, I mean, that's something definitely to take in mind. So, yeah, don't think he has, aces, jacks, kings, anything that, I think you would typically 3-bet, 4-bet with. But then he just, completely shoves right here. Yeah, I mean, definitely with ace, king. Yeah, I mean, I would probably either call or reshove.
I think it's really, if we were 100 blinds deep in it, wouldn't even be a question. But I think what's your thoughts on Meet the John at this point? When he's called our squid, do you think he's always folding when we shove? Because we kind of need him to fold a lot. Because if it's just a matter of it's us against Jay Trimble, we're getting 6-4 on a call, and we're probably coin flip at worst. So I think it's really easy against Trimble. I think the complicating matter here is Meet the John, because of how deep we are with him. I think it's either a shove or fold spot. I think calling might be the worst option, because if Meet the John just sticks it in, we've got to flip the rest in anyway. And I think once we put 25 in, Meet the John knows we're not folding. So I think the question here is it, would you shove or would you fold? And what kind of range do you think we're getting Meet the John to fold here? Exactly how high up his range is to Meet the John folding at this point?
I mean, yeah, the first time around, he only called you. So, yeah, I don't think he has, the top pair, because.
So what if Meet the John has queens here? What do you think he'd do with it when we shove?
Well, I think the last time around he would have re-raised you.
Do you think he would have 4-bet queens in this spot?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow. Do you think he'd 4-bet queens 200 blinds deep versus a small blind squeeze in this exact spot? Because you look at the exact spot, if you see somebody squeeze you, if you raise under the gun and you get somebody calls you in the cutoff, somebody squeezes from the small blind, I think it's usually a safe assumption that they're not fucking around. If this was cutoff versus button versus small blind, yeah, absolutely. You might 4-bet queens. But he's got to give us a ton of respect here because we 4-bet and we 4-bet fucking huge. So I'm not sure. I mean, if you're thinking he's 4-betting queens 200 big steep, I know I praised you for your optimism and enthusiasm earlier, but I think that might be just pushing it too far because what does he hope he's going to get value from us when he 4-bets? Just say he did 4-bet us to, say, $8.20, $8.25, something like that, which would be a reasonable size. What is he then hoping for when the action gets back on us? Is he hoping we call? Is he hoping we shove? Is he hoping we fold? If you were him, and this is a good way to flip the question, if you were Meet the John and you 4-bet me with queens here, what are you hoping happens when the reaction gets back to me again? You are, aren't you? You're hoping a fold. So that's why I would hate the 4-bet with queens. I think he's going to call with queens here almost all the time. I think you'd have to be some kind of maniac to want to 4-bet queens here this deep. 100 blinds deep, yeah, whatever. 4-bet, get it in. It's a cooler, it's a flip, it's whatever it is. But I think 200 blinds deep massively changes it. And I don't mean, I'm genuinely not trying to belittle you, Scott, at all. It's just I thought it was interesting that you thought he might 4-bet with queens because I think only maniacs or people who don't understand just how strong the squeeze of the small blind is would 4-bet queens here because I think I would be, if I was Meet the John, I'd be looking at my queens thinking, right, I'm just going to set mine here and I'm going to maybe try and get to a showdown on some okay boards as long as getting to showdown isn't going to cost me nearly all of a stack. That if I was Meet the John, I'd be calling and then I would call any flop that had no ace or king on it. And if I got barreled on the turn, I'd probably be more inclined to fold than I would be to raise, to call. So yeah, I think if you would 4-bet queens there, you probably need to have a little rethink about that and maybe think, are you overplaying hands in other spots too? Because I think that would definitely be overplaying. I don't know what any of you other guys think. What about you, Kieran?
Yep.
Is it Kieran? Yeah, Kieran. Sorry, I forgot who's in the chat. What would you do with queens there if you Meet the John spot?
I agree with flat queens because if we 4-bet and then we get jammed on, we kind of have to call, but like we're just praying that the jammer doesn't have like kings or aces.
So if you were queens and you've seen Jay Trimble go all in, then you've seen me go all in on top. So you're getting, let's have a look at what price Meet the John's getting now. Sorry, took it too far. Yeah, so he's now getting about 8 to 5 on a call. So he's getting whatever 8 to 5. He's close to 2 to 1 on a call. What would you do with queens here? Getting around 2 to 1.
I think you have to call with queens there.
You think you'd flick it in with 2 queens here for 200 big blinds?
Yeah. I don't think we expect him to fold queens.
Yeah, I did expect him to fold queens. That's why I did it. I thought he would fold queens and jacks all day.
Yeah, but not
because but they're almost the same thing because I probably don't have queens here when I'm doing this. Maybe I do, but I think jacks and queens are almost the same thing. I think our range for doing this is going to be aces, kings, maybe ace king. But I think jacks and queens are virtually the same. So you would call here with queens. Let's have a quick, because I might be making a bad read here. Let's have a quick run around the group. What about you, Michael? What would you do with queens here if you Meet the John?
If I had pocket queens, I would fold.
You would fold. What about you, Scott?
Pocket queens, probably call.
You'd probably call too. And what about you, James? So that's it. It shows how close it is, really, because if 50% of the people in this group are calling, 50% are folding, well, I guess 60% with me. I guess maybe I have slightly overestimated just how much fold equity I had. Because I presumed he's going to fold everything here except aces and kings. And maybe, I was thinking maybe he even folds kings. As daft as that might sound to you, because I'm repping aces incredibly hard here. I'm absolutely hugely repping aces. You know, ace king's the bottom of my range for doing this. I'm going to post this hand on Reddit actually because I'm actually interested now to see how many people would actually fold 2 queens in this spot. Because I thought 2 queens would be a snap fold. Now I'm starting to think maybe I've kind of overestimated just how much fold equity I have. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to carry on the session with you guys for another half an hour, but I'm going to end the video here because I think it's a good spot to end the video. So I'm just going to end the video and we'll carry on with the session. But yeah, I'm definitely going to post this hand and hopefully I get quite a lot of good feedback already for both me and for you guys. So enjoy the video. We'll see you guys next time. Probably be another one done. What day are we on? Tuesday. Probably do another one of these Thursday nights. So for those of you who are just watching or following the series, there'll be another video out Thursday. For the rest of you guys watching, don't go away, because as soon as I click this pause button, we're going to carry on. Okie dokie. Thanks for now. See you all later.